Imagine you and your friends are on a big football team. But one day, some of your friends decide they want to play by different rules. This makes everyone upset, and they start arguing a lot. Eventually, this argument becomes so serious that your team splits into two. Both sides are so angry that they start fighting against each other. This is similar to what happened in the United States over 150 years ago, leading to the American Civil War. The American Civil War happened between 1861 and 1865. The United States was divided into two groups, the North and the South. The North was called the Union, and the South was called the Confederacy. The main reason for their argument was about slavery. But there were other important reasons too, like states' rights, economic differences, and political power. Southern states believed that each state should have the right to make its own laws, including the decision to allow slavery. They felt that the federal government was trying to control them too much and take away their rights. The North and South had very different economies. The North was more industrialized, with many factories and businesses, while the South was largely agricultural, relying heavily on farming and slave labor. These differences led to conflicting interests and created tension between the regions. As new states were added to the United States, there was a constant struggle over whether these states would allow slavery or not. This was important because it affected the balance of power in Congress, where decisions about laws were made. Both sides wanted more power to pass laws that supported their way of life. Although these reasons were important, slavery was the main reason for the war. Slavery was at the heart of the disagreements about states' rights, economic differences, and political power. The Southern economy depended on slavery, and the Southern way of life was built around it. The North, however, wanted to stop the spread of slavery and eventually end it. This fundamental difference made the conflict unavoidable. The war officially started on April 12, 1861, when the Southern soldiers attacked Fort Sumter, a Union fort in South Carolina. This made the North very angry, and they decided to fight back. President Abraham Lincoln was the leader of the North, and he wanted to keep the country together. The American Civil War saw many important battles that shaped the course of history. One of the first major battles was the Battle of Bull Run in July 1861. Many people thought the war would be short, but this battle showed that it would be long and difficult. Both sides suffered heavy losses, and it became clear that the conflict would not end quickly. Another significant battle was the Battle of Antietam in September 1862, fought in Maryland. This battle was the bloodiest single-day battle in American history, with many soldiers dying on both sides. Although there was no clear winner, it was a strategic victory for the North because it stopped the Southern advance into Northern territory. After this battle, President Lincoln made the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared that all slaves in the South would be free. Perhaps the most important battle of the war was the Battle of Gettysburg in July 1863 in Pennsylvania. This battle was a turning point for the North. The Union Army, under the leadership of General George Meade, defeated the Southern forces led by General Robert E. Lee. The victory at Gettysburg boosted Northern morale and marked the beginning of the South's decline. President Lincoln later gave the Gettysburg Address, a famous speech that emphasized the importance of freedom and equality, and honored those who had died in the battle. The war continued for several more years, with many more battles and much suffering. Finally, in April 1865, the leader of the Southern Army, General Robert E. Lee, surrendered to the leader of the Northern Army, General Ulysses S. Grant, at a place called Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia. This marked the end of the Civil War. After the war, the United States faced many challenges. The country had to rebuild and heal from the fighting. The period after the war is called Reconstruction. During this time, the government worked to help former slaves become free citizens with rights and opportunities. This was a difficult process, but it was a very important step towards equality and justice. The American Civil War was a very hard and sad time in American history. It was a war that divided the country, but it also led to important changes that helped shape the United States into a nation that values freedom and equality for all its people. Imagine if your football team, after many arguments and fights, finally decided to come back together and play as one team again, but with new and fairer rules. This is similar to what happened in the United States. The country came back together and started working towards a better future for everyone. Thank you for watching this video about the American Civil War. We hope you learned something new and found it easy to understand. If you have any questions or want to learn more, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this. See you next time.